who knows what's going to fall out of my mouth off the top of the dome. Day 46 of 90 daily logging videos, insights from the edge of the key player and the creation of the key player movement. Okay, so now, here's what the insight is. Let me just skip right to it. It's when you wake up in the morning and you feel this dreadful sense of ache, hopeless, deadness, depression, shame, guilt, sad, drained, tired, despite having just slept for over 8 hours. We can put all that under the classification of resistance. And my message to you today is that resistance is not there to keep you away from your harmony across the board vision. That resistance is there because, and it does not mean that there's something wrong with you. There's not. What it's there for is for a few reasons. One, as a human being with an ego, it's designed that way for survival, because the version of you that you get to become and step into more to today, to keep your word, to follow through on your declarations and commitments that you've made, that version of you that's wanting to evolve and unfold and come and climb out as the old version of you sheds his skin or her skin, in order for that to happen, well, there's no in order to, but I just mean for that to happen, the previous version of you, the current version of you, gets to, you could be violent with it and say die, although that's not, it's not a very kind word, but it gets to shed. It gets to be let go of. It gets to fall off. And so that resistance is there to validate your new level of play in the game in which you are the key player. You are the one. We all are. We all are the one. We all are the ones responsible for creating this new version of ourselves, or vibrating at this newer, higher frequency that's required, and that is the match, the energetic, vibrational match to this new vision that we've conjured, we've stretched and reached for, and we've created. We came to this vision from the creation of a space that we've cultivated inside of a container of safety that would allow us to reach for it. And we reached for it, we grabbed it, and we wrote it down. We grabbed it long enough and wrote it down well enough to be able to then speak it into existence for the first time. But it's still a little baby embryo. It's not developed, it's not strong yet. And so it needs to be treated with delicacy, and it needs to be nurtured and protected. And then we get the vulnerability hangover the next day when we wake up, having made the deposit for the event, or having made the commitment to the person and gone public with it and spoken it out there. The next day, it's very common to wake up with a vulnerability hangover, thinking thoughts like, what have I done? What was I thinking? I can't do this. I was just in a manic state. I've got bipolar. I've got a mental illness. There's something wrong with me. No. Doctors that are educated in a little bit of outdated Western medicine might tell you something because they might want to sell you a prescription to something. And we might have a whole entire ecosystem that is designed around a well-intended though it be, an out-of-date paradigm. And yet, with kindness and respect, I wholeheartedly disagree with you if you believe that there's something wrong with you or there's something the matter. What's truer is that resistance is there to validate your new level of play. Those feelings of deadness, self-sabotage, self-hatred are the feelings and the residue of an old way of being that's on its way out. It's coming up so it can leave. Let it come up, accept it, be with it. And I'm reminded of something I've heard of a lot, and many times one of my best friends and who I consider to be one of my best mentors, Adam Shands, mentions. Just put one foot in front of the other. Don't think, don't overanalyze it. Just stand up and take one step in front of the other, one foot in front of the other, and go for a short walk and consciously steer your mind into gratitude, even if the only thing that you can even think that you're grateful for is that you have feet to step. If that's where your starting point is, start there. And as you take one step and another step and just think of things that you are grateful for, remind yourself that the feelings that I'm having, I don't believe it's possible. I don't think it can happen. I'm not feeling better yet. Why am I not feeling better yet? I'm supposed to feel better. Remind yourself that just hold space for all that negativity to be there, knowing it's falling off, it's coming up so it can come out. Allow it to be there. In other words, accept it, embrace it. Don't put your focus on it, and notice that it gets quieter and quieter and quieter as your brainwave frequencies that admittedly, they had to slow down so you could get into REM and sleep. You needed the sleep. But they're not in the same wavelength that they were at before, when you were on that quote unquote high, when you were elevated, and your parents might call you manic, or other people who don't fully understand you yet, or don't fully know how to give you the love that you know that you deserve yet, call you names and say you're not normal, and say you're weird, and say you don't make sense, and say you're wearing them out, and say that you blah, 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 and give you their diagnosis and their assessments. Don't worry about it. You can listen. I was going to say don't listen to them. You can listen to them, like you can hear them. You can allow them to share their truth. There's probably a lot of valuable nuggets inside of the truth that they share with you. And yet, deeper than that, remember this from the key player himself. All that stuff is only going to ultimately help you. You're going to confound them all when you make your comeback. So, one step in front of the other as those brainwave frequencies slowly but surely get to rise back up to the level that they were at before. And it can happen relatively quickly. You just reach for the next good feeling thought, and the next one, and the next one, and you use the tools, and you practice living the key player's way to creating harmony across the board. And after a few minutes, don't be attached to it. Don't be, I'm not feeling better yet. How am I feeling now? And don't be constantly taking your emotional temperature. That's the hallmark of losers. They're constantly taking their emotional temperature. How am I feeling now? And judging it. Like, is it there yet? Is it where I'm supposed? Let it go for a bit. And just forget about it for a bit. And just put your actions and your intention and your attention more intensely into what you've said you'd be, who you've said you'd be, what you said you'd do. And even if that is going on a short walk of gratitude for 5 minutes. And then you notice, and then you review what were the reasons why I initially started all this? What were the things that I'm committed to experiencing by the end of the year? What are my non-negotiable things that I know are happening, even though right now they don't feel like they're realistic and they don't feel like they're going to happen? Taking the attention off of the wanting them to happen and instead putting it on, just imagine how would it feel if it could happen, if it were possible, if it were totally possible. How might it feel if I did have it? And allowing that wavelength to rise. And then we're back. Oh, now I remember why I said that. Now I remember what I was thinking when I said that to that person. Oh, I wasn't off. Oh, now I remember. I really can do it. I really can have it. And then even ask yourself this. If every single day from now until the end of the year, I woke up completely in a daze, in a chaotic confusion, spinning around in a world of doubt and darkness where it feels like a depression, like the walls are closing in and all I want to do is hide from the world and not face the agreements I've made and the declarations I've made. If I woke up that way every day and I had to work myself out of that every day, and even if it took me 30 minutes of deep, hard, challenging physical exertion to use the tools, to move my body, to get the blood flowing, and to apply the tools, would I be willing to crawl out of that slowly but surely every single day until the end of the year, till the realization of my vision? Would I be willing to do that work? Yes or no? And because we've already started with the end in mind, and because the way that I led you to get to this point with this in mind, it's going to be a resounding yes, absolutely, I'm willing to do that. If I have to do that every day, if I have to, in order to stay off of those pharmaceuticals that people tell me I'm crazy and weird if I don't take, to stay off of those and to stay in my heart and to stay on my purpose, if I had to crawl through that blackness every day, would I be willing to? And just wait until and don't answer it too soon. Wait until you really feel in your body a resounding hell yeah. And once you do, you're back. And the familiarity and the recognition of, oh, I remember who I am. Oh, I remember what will happen. Go back and review your schedules. Go back and look at your calendar. Go back and look at the things that I've already coached you up to this point to written down. Just go back and review it and notice that sense of familiarity and recognition. Oh yeah, I know right where I'm picking up right where I left off. And boom, you're right back into aligned, powerful action. And in fact, it probably won't even be this long before you get a phone call or a text, or you think of something that you had to mention to someone. The ideas of the actions to take will find you at this place. Have fun creating. And we're off. Hit it. Hit send. Go send the thing. Do the thing. Put the first draft out there. Let it go. Get started, because the actions are finding you. You don't need to try or grind or work hard. Hold yourself in this state of being and watch the aligned action just naturally unfold from here. All right, much love, but only always.